Edelweiss, Edelweiss. Every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. The reason that song is so significant to me is that Sound of Music was at an era when many musicals were made, and it was a very popular style of movie. And I, for one, watched every single musical that was put out. And let me start from the beginning. I was adopted from Korea, but I was adopted not as a baby, but 6 years old. I came over on a plane, did not know a lick of English, and I was adopted by a very terrible family. And I don't want to go too much into detail, but there was abuse, and a lot of what happened to me influenced the trajectory of my whole life to go down a dark path and to make me do things and behave in a way that I shouldn't have, because I was acting out from the abuse and from trauma, which we all know. We will do that in different ways: drugs, alcohol, self-cutting. There's so many ways that we let out that sadness, aggression, anger. We all have our stories, don't we? But getting back to why that song, Edelweiss from Sound of Music, is so important to me is that as I was adopted and finding it very difficult to assimilate and get used to being in another country, all new language, all new, just everything's so different. And then to be thrown into an abusive family, it was so hard for me. And I remember that I would drown myself in TV musicals. In fact, I learned a lot of English through watching these movies. I just locked myself in an adult playroom. So my family was not poor by any stretch of the imagination, but I would rather have had poor in wealth but rich in kindness and good memories. So money, just people remember that money does not buy you happiness. So I would just hide away in my playroom, watch musicals. If they were on like in the morning until late at night, I would just sit there glued to the TV, watch the musicals. And not even just musicals, but any movie. I would just escape, because that was my escape. I didn't found it very hard to meet people and have friends. And I did when I was younger, but they all sort of drifted away because I think when you have come from abuse, you are a different type of person. You can't, you can't, it's so hard to describe it. We aren't like everyone else. We are in our own world, and sometimes trying to get out of that world and join others who are seemingly happy and having a nice life and not being abused, it's so hard to make that transition because we're so wrapped up in our misery that it's too hard to see anything past that. So I would just watch movies, and I loved musicals the most. I'd watch the musicals over and over and over till I learned every single lyric to every song, and eventually that went past just musicals. It was just music to begin with. I would just put on the radio and just listen to music, like from day and first thing in the morning till I went to sleep. And if anyone remembers Casey Kasem, American Top 40, or however that went, Casey Kasem, I loved that. I looked forward to that every single weekend. And just, I loved the music. I love musicals. I love movies. All of that is escapism. And at some point, I started writing my own songs and taking my experiences. Most of them were bad, to taking my experiences and putting them into songs, poems. And I guess that's how I became so into songwriting, and it's a passion of mine right now, is songwriting. But that's where it all stemmed from, was hiding away, listening to the musicals, and really, you could, if you watch those musicals and the movies, you could pretend that was you. You were living that beautiful, interesting, and magical life. And you didn't have to think about your own life, which was totally falling apart around you and just pure hell. But this isn't a pity party. We all have our stories. All of us who have come from abuse. And yes, mine was sexual abuse, but that's not beginning and the end of it all. Is mental abuse, a little bit of physical abuse, but what it boils down to is that it was basically ruined my childhood and ruined who I could have been, because I'm a good person. I think I have a lot of good qualities, but I could have been so much more if I had positivity around me and wasn't always living in fear and shame and just the terror of this situation. And blah blah blah, lots of rambling, I know. ADD, and I think what I'm leading to here is that I am putting out a song from dark to light, and that is the song where expresses my abuse and what I went through and how I felt. And also, I just want others to hear it and say, oh, that's me, and I came from dark to light, and I am a light in this world. really hope, that that song will help somebody else not feel alone. Because you're not, and there's so many people that have been abused, myself included. I just really hope that that song will touch you and help you and make you a little stronger and just not feel so overwhelmed, and just make you realize that you are light. You are coming from so much darkness, but on the other side of darkness is light. And that's where you belong and where you will be. Maybe you're not there yet, but it will happen. I mean, because I'm in my 50s and I still am so traumatized by what I went through. And I can guarantee any of you who have been through sexual abuse that you're not over it. You never will be. So how this led to Edelweiss into this whole tantrum, or me rambling and then suddenly getting all emotional. I didn't really plan for this, but I guess I wanted to just show people that why we do things and where it comes from. It all comes from somewhere deep. So for me, like, music not only saved my life, because watching those musicals and watching movies and that felt like that was my salvation, because when I watched movies, I escaped from everything, and I just became whatever character it was that I was watching, and then when I would listen to the songs, it just helped me forget about everything and absorb myself into the music and the songs and just the fairy tale world that was not mine. So that saved me, but also then when I wrote my songs, I've written hundreds of songs. They've not all been published or released. I'm working on it. Hopefully I release a lot of them before I die, but writing just was so therapeutic, because every time I would write, instead of doing damage to myself or just going into major depression, I could write songs to let out everything I was feeling inside, and it just became so therapeutic, the songwriting, so that's how music saved my life. It has literally saved my life, because without music, I think I would have definitely done other things that possibly could have killed me, drugs or, and yes, I did have some alcohol, a few problems with alcohol, but not so bad that I destroyed my life and, I'm going to die from it. Thank God I stopped drinking a lot from when I was in college, after college a bit. So when you have something like music, songwriting, it's an outlet. It's something that is not going to destroy you from within. And though, all of the musicians and singers you hear that have died tragically, some of them are older, some of them are younger. I am putting myself on a limb to say that I can guarantee that, I don't know, 80, 90% of them, a lot of them, I would say a majority, were sexually abused. I think so. A lot of them were. And I'm not going to give an amount, but a lot of them were. And they wrote songs that from their gut, like the songs that really touch me and just punch me in the gut are coming from that place that I know about, because I've written songs that came from there. And these writers and singers, musicians, they were also escaping through music, and I'm sure music has saved them, and a lot of them aren't saved because, a lot of the ones, it's the 26 Club, most of them, if not all, were sexually abused. And why do you think a lot of these musicians just dive so much into like a destructive life of alcohol, drugs, to where they are on a death path to kill themselves eventually? The drugs will eventually kill you, because instead of finding that escape through their traumas, they choose a physical escape, which is drugs, alcohol, because you can escape with those things, but eventually, sooner than later, those kill you. So, what a long and dreary story time. I'm sorry, but I think we all have our stories, and most of them aren't pretty. I challenge anyone here on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, all of these social medias. I challenge any of you to say that your life was perfect, that you didn't go through some type of trauma. And I'm not saying everyone was sexually abused. A lot of people were, many men included. And that is why I wrote From Dark to Light to be a duet, because you men, you boys went through hell. And the problem with you is that you don't feel confident to say your abuse or talk about your abuse, or to even mention it in words, because it's so intrusive, it's so humiliating. It's like you feel like you're, as a man or a boy, you're not supposed to talk about that. That's girls can talk about that, but boys don't talk about being sexually abused by the neighbor, or the babysitter, the teacher, the priest, even their relatives. It's not just girls. So many men and boys, so many boys have been sexually abused. So that's why it had to be a duet. It had to be, because the poor boys, we need you boys to speak out, and we need you to come to terms with this and realize, yes, you were abused, and say, yes, I have been, but I'm come from dark to light. I am a good person, and my abuse, I will speak about it, and I will come to grips, and I will be honest for once, to say to myself in the world that I was abused, and I'm not ashamed, because I'm not to blame. None of us are to blame for this, but you have to come from that place, from the darkness and into the light. And part of that is just saying to yourself that, and feeling confident, and feeling having the power and the courage to say yes, that is me. I am one of those little boys that was abused. I mean, I was a little girl. I was abused. None of us deserved it, so it's not our fault. We are just came from dark and we're into the light. We're going into the light, Every day we're going into the light. And that is why from dark to light. That's everything. That's us. That's our story. Darkness to light. So, anyways, I just want to I want to reach out and I want to hug all of you who've gone through traumas and hard times, because I know how you feel. I'm sorry. I wish I could hug you, and I wish I could tell you that it's okay, and that we are all gonna make it. We are all gonna go into the light, and we all are beautiful people in a beautiful world, even though the world might have forsaken us as children. There's still time for us to. There's so much more we can do with our lives, and we do not need to have abuse. We don't need to let our abuse define us and guide us the wrong way, or a different way than how we were meant to live this life, which is beautifully and positively and impact people around us in a wonderful, positive way, because we are wonderful, beautiful people. And enough rambling and enough sniveling and enough just going on and on and on. I think I've said what I need to say, and that's that. And big hugs to all of you, okay? Big hug to everyone who has been through trauma, and you are not alone. You're not to blame, and we are all of us are going from dark to light, okay?